What's up, guys? I came to Bangalore in 2012 in search of a job. The reason was that the company that I got placed in from college didn't really send me an offer letter. And that's a long story, it's probably for another video. But this year, in 2020, I complete 8 years of working in the IT industry. And it has been a journey of ups and downs. But I thought I'll share what I have learned throughout these years. And if you are someone who's looking to get into the IT industry, I hope this helps you. So let's get right into it. This is probably something that I get asked the most. Do you really need to know how to code? How many languages do you need to know in order to get a job? And this is a common misconception that if you need to work in the IT industry, you have to be a coder. I recognized back in college that I wasn't really good at coding and I had no interest in it. So I knew one thing for a fact, that I couldn't really work as a developer in the IT industry. It was not a career path that I could see myself getting into. It is always good to have functional knowledge in technology, and it obviously depends on the career path that you choose. You could become a product designer, you could become a database administrator, business analyst, and you could also work in sales like I do. The important thing here is that the IT industry is very diverse and there are a lot of options that you can choose, but it's very important to know what your interests are, what your strengths are, and try and capitalize on them. One thing I learned early on in my career is that it is very important to get your foot in the door. You may not be able to get your dream job right away. Some people may, but a lot of us, we have to put in a lot of time and effort in order to get there. And this is especially true if you are a fresher and don't have any experience. So it is very important to find a way to get into the system. When I came to Bangalore 8 years ago, I had to find a way to get into the corporate world, and for me that meant I had to work late hours in odd shifts, and I also had to work over the weekends when my friends probably didn't have to. But that is just a sacrifice that you have to be willing to make. And once you gain that experience, gain the knowledge, and you know that you have the skills to find other opportunities, you can always look for bigger and better. Comparing yourself with your peers, with your friends, with the people that you know does little or no good. When I came into this industry, I always used to think in such a manner that, how great would it be if, I got that job that my friend had? How awesome would it be if I got paid as much? It would be great to not work on weekends, etc. All of us have different paths, and it's very important for us to recognize that and to understand that we have to work on our strengths rather than focus on our weaknesses. I'm someone who believes that it is not your intellect or your skills, but your attitude that sets you apart. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. So, when I started working in the IT industry, I said yes to every opportunity that I got, even though I did not know what to do or how to figure this problem out. I said yes because I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to learn, for me to grow. And over time, that presented me with a lot of opportunities that not everyone around me had. So, if you think that it is something that will help you in the long run, even if you don't know how to do it, just say yes and go figure it out. After a point when you realize that you have built enough skills, after you gain some experience under your belt, you can always say no and focus on the things that really matter to you. Over and above all, be the kind of person that people come to when they run into a problem. Be credible, be accountable, and this will obviously make sure that you are a very valuable part of any organization. Studies say that a person spends 1/3 of his or her life at work. An average person works around 90,000 hours in their lives. Work-life balance is something that's very much overlooked, especially in our culture. While work is a very important facet of our lives, it's also very important to make sure that we make time for other priorities, whether that's exercise, mental health, spending time with our families. If we focus only on one area, the other areas of our life will start to suffer. It is important to take some time to stop and smell the flowers. Cha-ching, let's talk money. And I obviously don't have a lot, so I'll just keep that aside. Okay, now this is something that not a lot of people want to talk about openly, but let me tell you that there is money in the IT industry. Let me tell you from experience that the money will come, but it is very important to make sure that you focus on things like learning and building your skills rather than focusing on the money. And what I've learned from experience is that it is better to not make a decision based on money unless and until you're in a critical situation and you really have to take that job. But it would be better to stay at an organization where you are happy but you get paid a little less, rather than move to another place where you get paid a little more money but you don't have peace of mind and you are miserable throughout. I recently read a report that said that only 20% of engineering students in India are employable. I mean, think about that. Isn't that really crazy that 80% of the engineering students who pass out are not really employable and don't stand a good chance to get hired? In your career, if you go days and months without learning, then it is almost sure that you're in for trouble. And especially with everything that is happening around the world today, the number of open positions are reducing. So it is always important to make sure that you're always learning, and most of the information that we need is available for free on Google or on YouTube. If you plan on doing this for the next 30-35 years of your life, you better be passionate about it, because if not, there's a good chance that you could end up miserable. When you work on something that you really enjoy, you obviously perform better. It is easier to put in the long hours when required. And I have friends who have moved from being business analysts to becoming product designers. I have another friend who's worked as a business analyst for almost 6 years, and then she moved into being in HR. And nowadays organizations are very flexible. They give you the opportunity to change your skill set if at all they feel that you are someone who's really valuable to the organization. So these are some of the things that I've learned from my experience in the last 8 years, and I'm sure my fellow ITians, is that even a word? Anyways, coming back to what we were talking about. So a lot of other people who have been in this industry for longer may have had different experiences, different things that they would want to share. And if you are someone who's watching this video and you think you have something valuable to offer to this community, make sure you drop a comment. So that's it from me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something valuable out of it. If you did, make sure you share this video, you like it, and also obviously subscribe. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week with another video. Till then, it's goodbye from me.